there, it's Anonymous Tea, where we spill the tea anonymously. Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day today, sending good vibes, sending positivity, sending blessings, and good energy to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So today we're talking Real Housewives of Atlanta. First and foremost, anything I say is alleged and in my personal opinion. This is for entertainment purposes only. None of this is ever personal. It's not personal, you guys. So we got to discuss, there are some rumors that there might be a Real Housewives of Atlanta reboot of sorts. And this is being reported by Bravo and Cocktails. So let's get into it. It says the subject is ATLOGs is somewhat true. Spill it to bravococktails.com. I wasn't going to say anything, but the peach is out the bag, I guess. All of this stuff on NENE, SHEREE, Lisa, and Kim returning to Peacock is true, but it is not a crappy Lake spinoff. It is a separate show with Atlanta ex-wives. I don't know why the other person who originally posted about this left out half the names. It's NENE, SHEREE, Lisa, Kim, plus Candy, Eva, and Marlo. Peacock wants Kenya to sign on, but she allegedly has reservations after everything that went down during season 16. And allegedly, Kenya isn't an ex-wife just yet. She just also doesn't want to film with Marlo and Kim. I think the show will be called The Real Housewives of Atlanta Ex-Wives Club, but filming will be a lot shorter, and the majority of the series will be a girls' trip with a couple episodes before and after an ATL. Also, filming isn't starting until March time, so don't expect it until 2026. So, I've been on the record saying for a long time, really for the past couple of years, that I was fine with a Real Housewives of Atlanta reboot. I felt that it was needed a long time ago. Because remember, it was Candy who was anti-reboot because she felt that was going to impact the main show and that was going to maybe affect her being on the show and all these things. So she didn't want it to happen at all, right? But now her name is going to be a part of the reboot. So, so I never understood why she would be upset in the first place. Because whether she was on the main show or not, she would still be incorporated into Real Housewives of Atlanta anyways. Whether it was a legacy season or if it was on the main show. But nonetheless, I'm here for it. I think a lot of people miss NENE Leakes and are happy to see that her relationship with NBC Universal has since been, repaired of sorts, to where she's been able to do some work and do some gigs and things like that. Also, I believe this is coming around because I think of the success of the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. I think this was something that, needed to happen, right? Because the original revamp of New York was, decent of sorts, but then it got a little messy with Ramona and some other stuff and all that good stuff. So, and it was a success though on Peacock, nonetheless, right? So we'll see how this goes. I can't imagine a spin-off of Real Housewives of Atlanta failing. That would be shocking to me. But it would be nice, the people who originally knew each other for real from the start, getting the band back together and producing good television and producing good content. I am here for all of that. I think, like I say on a lot of these reality TV shows, I think what tends to happen with these cast members is, of course, that first season is the most authentic because you have no idea whether or not the audience is going to like you. So you're going to be yourself, whether, no matter how nice or mean or however that comes across on the television. And then what tends to happen is then when the show airs and you start to see the social media reaction to it all, and you start to see
who prefers which housewives and not, who's getting the most shade, and then it trickles down to the cast members themselves, in which some of them start to get a big head, and then some of them start to change up for the cameras and start to act a certain way, to thinking that they're acquiescing to their fan base, but it then doesn't come off as authentic. And then that's when we started to see, and really that's what I feel ruined Real Housewives of Atlanta, like especially these past few seasons, what was all of these alliances. These alliances where it just felt like either the OGs were on one side and all the newbies were on another, and if you were a newbie, you had to suck up to certain OGs in order for you not to get dragged or get exposed or whatever. And it's not entertaining television. It's an ensemble cast. There shouldn't be alliances. This isn't Survivor, you guys. This isn't Big Brother. This is a housewife show. So nonetheless, I felt that a lot of the housewives lost their way and got into this mode because they were successful. And I spoke about this on Married to Medicine. Because you guys have been successful before and refusing to film with people and getting people kicked off the show, allegedly, that you thought this alliance type of stuff was going to work to get certain people kicked off the show or to quote fall in line, but it's not entertaining from a viewer perspective. From a viewer perspective, it's very annoying because it looks disjointed. The group is barely together outside of the cast trip and the finale episode. Sometimes not even the premiere episode. The entire cast isn't even together anymore. And you could just see the divide. You could see the discord. You could see this unnecessary treatment that's taking place where you want these newbies to quote unquote prove themselves before you give them a chance. And it's just like weird. It's unnecessary, but this trend of like, we're just all going to go in on whoever's new on the show so we can avoid our stuff being talked about, whatever drama we've got going on. It's old and tired. Everybody needs to be clocking in, whether you're a veteran or not. And I feel also that's where Real Housewives of Atlanta has lost its way because it just became too predictable on how they were moving. And we really weren't getting the authenticity. And then certain people were being treated differently because they didn't like who was in this alliance or who was in that alliance. Like I said, not Big Brother, not Survivor. Who cares? What should be important is your relationship with that person. And as long as that person is not gossiping with whoever you think your op is behind your back, it shouldn't be an issue. But the problem is, things always get messy. Things always get lost in translation. And I think some of these people, they get too caught up on what the fans think about them on social media. They get too caught up on trying to force friendships or force hating somebody in hopes that that is going to acquiesce to social media. And it always backfires. The fans ultimately do not care. They just want to see a good show. That's the fundamental part of it all. The fans just want a good show. All this other nonsense where you're pre-gaming, you're deciding who you want to film with, who you want to be aligned with for the season and all this and that, who you want to go after, who you want to attack, what tea you can find out on any of the new girls that's embarrassing and humiliating to them, to, have some sort of hazing of sorts for them being the newbie on the show. All of that needs to stop. Let everybody come in as themselves. And whether or not they integrate into the group, we'll see. But all of the antics and things, and I think this is what ultimately got Kenya suspended, doing all this extra, it just wasn't needed. You should have just let things play out the way it was going to play out, but the lengths that you went to try to expose a new cast member, it just wasn't necessary. It wasn't it. So nonetheless, I would think, a legacy type of season, a reboot type of season on Peacock, I don't think that those ladies would go to those types of lengths to try to quote unquote expose anybody or do all of this underhanded stuff. I feel like they've been on this show long enough at this point to know each other well enough to know certain triggers of each other, to know likes and dislikes of each other and all the things, that they would be mature enough to say, listen, we're grown, we're in our 50s, we're in our 60s or whatever, and we need to handle this as women. And just call it for what it is, right? Instead of trying to do all of these sneak tactics and all these things, or trying to find an assistant or somebody on your team to try to find tea on people, right? Or to have it so that your your team of people is like infiltrating certain blog spaces to have slanted, opinions of you. I feel also that was something that has kind of, tainted reality TV as well to an extent, is how much certain people allow certain bloggers and certain relationships with bloggers to also dictate how they're going to move on the show and how they're going to treat certain people on the show. And I just wish, unfortunately, that everybody, was playing, with a fair hand. And nobody was feeling that they're above the show or that they're too good for the show and can resort to these types of tactics and get away with it just because they've been on the show for several years. Like, we still want to see a good show. And if we get the vibe that you're trying to do underhanded stuff just to, protect any tea on yourself from coming out, it never ends well. It never ends well. So there is that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.